Welcome back to Crashing Out with DeFranco and Alex Pearlman. Today we have a heavy one. It's so heavy that I called or texted Alex as all the news was coming out with Alex Pretti to see if he was okay, because I was like, if I'm feeling how I'm feeling, and I try to actively calm myself down, and I felt like I was being radicalized and losing my mind in the moment to the point where I was like, it's not even safe for me to post online. How is Alex doing? That was how crazy this week felt. And so I guess I've been wanting to say, how are you? Where are you at with not only this murder that happened on an American street, but then this very ridiculous, like just over the top cover up? It felt like, you know how everyone talks about the boiling pot and the frog, and you know, if the frog jumped into boiling water, it immediately hops out. But we've been the frog where the temperature has been slowly raising and raising. It felt like they just fucking cranked the knob. They thought they were like, oh, we have this, it's fine, and then America has actually responded. Granted, you still have fucking losers and weirdos trying to defend it, but where are you at?
Well, I'm at a place right now where it's America, especially in Minnesota, is minus 20 degrees, and it's been brought to a boil. That's where we are. Mm-hmm. We're watching an organization that calls itself ICE light the Constitution on fire. That's where we are. We're watching the First Amendment get stomped in the street, the Second Amendment get shot, and then we're watching every other amendment fall into line to get sent off somewhere in the middle of Dallas, Texas, next to a 5-year-old. Like, that's where we are. There's been so much that's happened between these last two episodes, Phil, that I know that we're going to spend a lot talking about the state-sanctioned execution of Alex Pretti in the streets of Minnesota. We're going to spend a lot of talking about that. But just for everyone to keep in context, this is the same week that we watch these same agents steal a 5-year-old. The same week we watch them use that 5-year-old as bait. The same week that we've been hearing about them, kidnapping and abducting 2-year-olds, chasing down moms and dads, pulling grandfathers in their underwear out into the snow while claiming that they're looking for sex offenders that were already in jail. We're dealing with so many lies, so many compounding factors that seem insurmountable, while at the same exact time, though, I've never actually been more hopeful in the last year, because I'm watching a state-sanctioned violent group of thugs get chased around by moms in Honda Fits with whistles. Like, these fuckers are terrified. If we go back and we watch what the full murder, it starts with I'm going to call them a Trump trooper. I said online that we should call them Trump troopers, because there's conversations. Are they ICE? Are they CBP? I don't give a fuck. This is a Trump thug, all right? We watch one of these Trump thugs push a woman to the ground. It starts with them attacking a random woman. Alex Pretti gets between. They start pepper spraying all of them, because what we've seen is their less than lethal force is no longer scaring anyone, which is why it jumped to lethal force so quickly. It's why. And when the first tape came out, everyone had the same question. Well, what started it? What started it? And the same thing, as I said in my video that I posted about it, and that everybody else has come to the conclusion, the one thing we know now in this country is that the United States federal government, specifically the Department of Homeland Security, will murder you and then lie on your fucking name before your body is even cold. Because that's exactly what they did. They lied. They fucking lied. They got onto a press conference and lied. They tweeted the lies. They fucking Instagrammed the lies. They TikToked the lies. They got all of them out there everywhere they could to try to set a fucking narrative. And then the second goddamn angle hit. It's literally word for word, bar for bar, flow for flow, the same story of Renee Good. So here we are in America. They murdered Good. Now they've murdered Pretti, and we're left with nothing but the fucking ugly truth, which is that this government, this specific government, will kill you and lie on your name, and you'll be labeled a domestic terrorist because it is against the law to get in the way of their bullets. That's where I've been all weekend, while snowed in with a sick toddler watching the greatest Cars movie in the history of the world, Disney Pixar's Cars 2. All right?
I like that you tried to lighten it at the end because
there's no lightning. There's no lightning in it. Because you started with me last fucking week. You started with me, and then it dragged it out onto social media, and then I got people in my DMs being like, Disney Pixar's Cars 2 isn't the best one. Fuck all of you, okay? Disney Pixar's Cars 2 is the one who told you exactly who Elon Musk would be. It's a movie about a foreign billionaire who is pretending to be into alternative fuels, who is actually trying to take over the world and turn it into a weird new world order. I'm just saying out here, everybody, we're surrounded by a series of lemons that are killing people in the streets.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you. You know what? You're so right on the other thing. I'm gonna let you have the wrong opinion on Cars 2. But I think I wasn't able to ever calm down because even though we are seeing more and more of these normies, more celebrities feeling like they have the cover to share their opinion because this is so fucking grotesque and they're calling this out, and it does feel like, to your point when you're saying you're feeling hopeful, that there is momentum. There are people speaking out. This is so horrendous. At the same time, you do have people that want it to continue, that are pushing it, right? That are cheering on President Stephen Miller, where, you have people online saying, ICE is up 3-0. People saying, what do you think about ICE? They say, I think they're doing pretty good. Like fucking reveling in this. We just watched a stupid fucking clip of a Russian propagandist, in my opinion, Tim Pool, talking about, I'm not licking the boot. That's my boot. He's saying, I'm not sucking up to fascists. I am the fascist. Like that's essentially his fucking argument. Yeah,
real fast. Let's actually, we're going to play that clip right here because I don't think people understand exactly what these fuckers sound like as they're talking to each other on their goddamn podcast. Okay. Let's play it.
First of all, when these people come out and go, Tim's a bootlicker for defending us, I'm like, no, you misunderstand. It's my boots. It's mine. I voted for them. I'm wearing the boot. I'm stomping on the ground. I ain't licking anybody. I'm clapping for these people that I said, please go out and enforce the law. And anybody else who's cheering for it, who voted for it too, we're all wearing the boots. You're the one crying.
Just a little bald bitch.
Yeah. All of that could have been solved if he had just gone and gotten some hair treatment. That's it. It's just a fucking beanie. The thing is that we need to understand right now is that we are surrounded by cosplayers. That's what this weekend has truly shown us. Whether it be the Trump thugs themselves wearing their fucking paintball gear, running around in the fucking street. Whether it be Greg Bavino trying to pretend that he isn't just some old Subaru lesbian who never got hugged by his alcoholic fucking DUI dad. Whether it be Stephen Miller trying to do his best Joseph Goebbels impersonation, whether it be any of these fucking podcasters, any of these 2A podcasters, right? We're talking about everyone who's screaming about freedom of speech, every single one of them that screamed about all these different things. I'm a big manly man. I do fucking BJJ. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. Look at me. Let's talk to Joe Rogan. We got to stop these wokes from coming down our streets. They're forcing us to carry vaccine passports. Where's your papers now? Alex Jones made sure he posted that he supports ICE. Alex fucking Jones has spent the last 2 decades making millions of dollars selling bone broth to people with his fucking promo codes while telling them that an elite cabal of pedophiles were going to send mass jackbooted thugs into their neighborhoods to steal children. Well, here we are, Alex Jones. We got elite cabal of pedophiles that are sending jackbooted mass thugs into our fucking neighborhoods that are literally stealing children and shooting moms and nurses in the fucking face. And your first words are, I support them completely. I'm completely on board. This is where I'm going to be. You're a fucking coward, Alex Jones. I can't wait for the HGH to finally break off that last little piece of fucking cartilage and make it up to your brain to do the fucking thing that the ghosts of all those kids at fucking Sandy Hook are waiting for you. Because when you get down there, I want to just real fast. I'm getting revved now. I did in 2012. I was an atheist who believed in gun control. Well, guess what, Republicans? You did it. I now believe in God, and I now believe heavily in the Second Amendment, motherfucker, because I need to believe in hell, because I am not seeing justice here. We are not seeing it right now. We're not seeing a lot of fucking things in the street. I keep hearing people, including Greg Bavino, be like, don't call ICE Gestapo. Fucking the Gestapo didn't wear masks. They also didn't wear fucking plate carriers. They walked around the streets and they grabbed fucking random people for crimes against the state. Gestapo was also, just so everybody knows, just so everybody fucking knows, Gestapo was also an acronym. It is not the full name. It's an acronym. The Germans take a series of a couple letters here and there and they put it together. Gestapo officially means Geheime Staatspolizei, or Secret State Police. That's the same as ICE, the same as CBP. If Gestapo was created today and they were an American institution, they would just be the GSP. That's it. That's where the fuck we are. And I know that there's been so many fucking conversations around this of like where we are right now. Where we are right now is such a dark fucking place. I do have hope, though. I do have fucking hope. Because every time they step up, every time they overstep, as they fucking close their goddamn fists around Minnesota, we're watching everyone be like, oh, these guys are fucking cowards. Oh, there's only 13,000 of us and there's 350 million Americans. Oh, they're already overstretched. I'm seeing cosplayers. It's just cosplay everywhere you fucking look. Especially on Twitter, especially on Elon's fucking hell site. I watch people over there, oh, look at this. The anti-ICE protesters, they're clearly being paid by people because they have milk and hand warmers. The fuck are you talking about? No, you know how they have logistics? Because a bunch of them are talking like it's Hearts of Iron 4. A bunch of these fucking psychos over there are talking like they're playing some stupid real-time strategy game. They're upgrading. Look at this. They're using these different things. They've overstretched their supply lines. The supply lines are moms. The supply lines are anyone who's ever been to a fucking soccer game. You want to get a bunch of people together, then you better believe that there's enough 35-year-old moms who know how to make sure that we have oranges and milk and hand warmers, and that people know how to have a fucking jacket and get together, and they also know how to get together a fucking carpool. Because we're seeing so many different layers of things that are happening from this specific government that are happening over and over and over again. I'm learning about terms for police brutality that I had no idea ever fucking existed. I never know about was it a Starlight Drive? Have you heard of these?
No.
It's where the ICE will go and pick you up. They'll drive you around for a bit and then drop you off in the middle of fucking nowhere. So that way you have to get a ride home. They're not taking you in for processing. They're not taking you in for fucking booking. They're not doing any of this different shit to you. And in Minnesota, that could possibly be a death sentence because it's minus 20. And they're dropping them off in the middle of nowhere with no fucking jacket.
That is a very Trump tactic of the harassment is the point. It's not the we're actually going to do anything. It's the harassment. It's the chilling effect. And yeah, I have two things to say here. I think the first is, to your point, whether it be Alex Jones or any of these supposed 2A commentators and creators and the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. I think we get the "Don't Tread on Me" flag now because apparently they didn't fucking believe it. We'll whitewash some of the history of that flag. But for the people that are like, hey, it's just been projection. It's just been projecting. They've been talking about this thing that they've actually wanted to implement. And the people talking about like the tyrannical government that's going to gun people down in the streets. It's here. But a lot of these guys don't care. Some of them do. Some of them have crossed a line into fucking decency and normalcy. But a lot of these guys, they believe it for their side, which if you only believe in these laws and these things for your side, you don't actually believe anything other than power, and it's a game, and it's these fucking cosplayers. And the second is the situation is so fucked that even the man that you tried to speak to last week with your Ooga Boogas, John Fetterman, has called for Kristi Noem to be fired. Now, granted, I think more needs to happen, but the fact that fucking Fetterman is doing something where he's essentially been in Trump's pocket, just repeating fucking Republican talking points, it stands out to me. But I'm seeing your smile. Are you gonna say he's just, maybe it was his wife?
No, it wasn't his wife. His wife put out a much stronger statement than Fetterman. Fetterman put a both sides bad statement first because he is afraid of pitchforks and fire. All right, because he's Frankenstein's monster looking into a lake and trying to figure out how another version of him is staring back. He's a fucking idiot. All right. His statement, by the way, we're in a moment right here, Phil. There's a tactic that came from Imperial Russia called good czar, bad boyars. That's where we are right now. I've been putting into the group chat repeatedly just because I wanted to hint at you that this was going to come up. But this is a thing that fascist government, totalitarian governments do all the time. Good czar, bad boyars is a tactic where the supreme leader is never at fault. He's surrounded by fall guys. In Imperial Russia, the boyars were the nobles, and the peasants only knew the nobles. The nobles' job was really to come out there and do exactly what the czar said, and also to take some liberties as things were happening. Greg Bovino is a noble in the Trump government. Kristi Noem is a noble. All of the cabinet members, these are all potentially fall guys. We saw this in the Trump first administration. We're seeing it in the second one. They're going to label all of this on Kristi Noem. They're going to label all of this on Greg Bovino. They're going to label all of this, maybe even a couple things on Stephen Miller. But you know what they're not labeling it on? The 7 fucking ICE agents that murdered somebody. They're not going to put it on them. They're not going to put it on the president of the United States who ordered the 3,000 ICE agents to go there to distract from a cover-up of the fact that all of his best friends are pedophiles who are all listed in the Epstein files that he still refuses to fucking put out into the world. This entire thing has been an operation at the behest and orders of the president of the United States. We had a time in this country where the buck stopped here. That meant that any action being done by the executive branch of the United States eventually meant that it was up to the president of the United States. It was his cause and effect. He was the one who ultimately should be held liable. That was under a Democratic president, Harry Truman. That was a belief then. We now are at an area where he was just joking, guys. I can't believe, oh, will someone please rid me of these meddlesome priests? Oh, I didn't mean for you guys to go kill Thomas a Becket. Like, we're seeing a series. If anybody's ever read a fucking history book, it's like, oh, this doesn't end well. Because we have a rapidly deteriorating, dementia-riddled dictator who does not know where the fuck he is most times and cannot remember the word Alzheimer's when talking about his own father's mental afflictions at the end of his life, who is now slowly being told to go get rid of Kristi Noem or go get rid of Greg Bovino for doing the exact things that he fucking ordered. Kristi Noem will be the first. I think she'll be the first. Bovino, we don't know as of time of recording if Bovino actually has been demoted or he's heading towards retirement or whatever. The big sin that the two of them did more than anything else is the fact that both of them did shitty online and did shitty in front of the camera. And again, I just want to go back to these 7. I'm saying 7 because there were 6 agents involved with the murder of Alex Pretti, and there was 1 agent, Jonathan Ross, involved with the murder of Renee Good, right? Those 7 agents, that's this many. I did not have the right number of fingers up for the people who are watching this on Spotify or YouTube. This many agents, they're all masked. 6 out of the 7 are unnamed, which means we now have to assume that every single masked ICE agent that you could come into contact is one of those murderers. The federal government is refusing to divulge the names of the agents involved in the shooting. They're claiming it's for safety. They're claiming for many fucking reasons. But they're masked men. Yeah, dox, whatever. You can't dox somebody that I can get a Freedom of Information Act on their fucking paycheck. That's impossible. They're being paid by our tax dollars. If you're listening to this and you're beginning to start receiving your 1099 forms or your W-2s, guess what? You paid the salary of the murder of Alex Pretti. And if you are seeing a masked man dressed up in green and tan or black and tan fucking camo come down your street, you have no way of knowing that that masked man isn't one of the ones who shot Alex Pretti. You have no way of knowing. A stormtrooper wears a helmet in the Star Wars universe so they are dehumanized. So you don't know that they're actual individual people. So you can't tell whether or not these are the stormtroopers that killed Uncle Owen and Aunt Peru or if these are just some random guys who are working maintenance on the fucking Death Star. Right. There's no difference. They've dehumanized themselves. They've made sure that we can't tell them apart. And if we can't tell them apart, then we, in a form of safety, have to assume now that any agent that we are seeing that is masked is one of those agents because they've gone out of their way. They've done the Catholic priest shuffle. Greg Bovino said it. They moved them out of the state of Minnesota because they were worried that the state of Minnesota would file charges against these men for murder because that's what we all witnessed. We all witnessed a murder on our phone for the how manyth time, right? And so they were worried, so they shuffled them off. They didn't say that they were on administrative leave. They didn't say they were on desk duty. They didn't say they forced them to take PTO, any of that different shit. No. They said that they are still doing the job somewhere else. We don't know if that's Wisconsin. We don't know if that's Maine. We don't know if that's California. We don't know if that's Florida, Texas, or I can name any of the other 50 states plus the territories. We don't know where they are. There are 6 men who were involved with a murder. We don't know. There was something like 10 shots fired. We don't know which one was the initial shooter still. We don't know any of the motivations behind any of this. We don't know beyond the fact that Kristi Noem said that one of them was an 8-year veteran. We don't know anything about these guys. We don't know where they got hired. Nothing.
I have to imagine that there's been reporting that there's body camera footage that's been reviewed. I have to imagine it's even worse than what we've seen from the other camera angles if we are seeing the backtracking from people from the Trump White House, not just because of like how bad the cell phone cameras look. I think that it's like if there is something closer up, I think it's even worse, which is crazy to say for something that's as bad as this. And the last thing I'll say before we go to a quick break is I very much agree, because there's a lot of different aspects to this whole thing. If they are, this sounds horrible, but it is very true. If they are fine shooting a white man in the street, imagine what they're doing at these fucking detention centers. Imagine if this is what they're fucking fine with seeing. This was meant to be their like PR. This is, hey, we're gonna go in, we're gonna fucking big boots, crack some skulls, and like this is what they're okay showing. So what the fuck are they trying to hide? What are these people experiencing, including this fucking 5-year-old kid?
And there was footage that was recently posted by a lawyer, an immigration lawyer down in Texas, who he is in, I think, the parking lot, and you can hear people screaming from behind the fence. We've also seen drone footage of people inside the fence area where they could see from above, which I guess they're now currently making them wear color coordinated jackets. You can see them wearing blue, red, and I think green jackets, and it's women and children being held inside of a fenced-in area. I mean, we're getting into like, a lot of people like, oh, no, we're not doing Nazi shit yet. They called it Alligator Alcatraz, folks. They called it Alligator Alcatraz down there in Florida. And every single Republican started screaming that they wanted one in their state, too. From Nancy Mace on, they were all screaming and trying to come up with fun little names that they could put on their own personal concentration camps. They are concentrating a group of people into a camp. What the fuck else are we supposed to call it? The last thing I'll say before we go to a break here is, once again, this administration is scared. This administration is scared pussies. But they are no bigger pussies than every single one of these Netflix comedian fucking podcasters that endorse this president and have spent this entire weekend hiding. I've gone and scrolled through every single one of them, with the exception of, I think, one who gave a mealy-mouthed bullshit answer, Tim Dillon, who probably figured out how to write that while having a dinner with Cheryl Hines the other night. Beyond that fucker, the rest of them, every single one of them, from Rogan, Theo Von, Andrew Schultz, all down, they couldn't even bother to put out a goddamn Instagram story about this. They couldn't even fucking bother. Instead, they linked to tickets to their fucking shows. Because you want to know why? When it comes to it at the end of the day, every single one of these podcasting meatheads and their fucking audience, they know who's in their audience. They get analytics. Phil and I get analytics for all of our shit. Anyone who does content, we can get our analytics and we can take a look at it. And we can read the comments, which you guys leave lovely comments and reviews everywhere else. And you know what guys like Joe Rogan, Theo Von, Andrew Schultz, and all the fucking rest of them know? That their audience is fucking ICE agents. And they're afraid of scaring off their ICE agent audience. That's what the fuck it comes down to. They're afraid that if they speak out against seeing a man get copped in the fucking head and then mag dumped in the streets of America, that if they speak up against to try to protect the First and the Second Amendment the same way they did during the Biden years right now, if they talk the way they talk during the fucking Biden years right now, then Bryson and Brayson and some other fucking Mormon named broccoli-headed kid won't buy a goddamn ticket to their fucking arena show, so Bert Kreischer might have to put a shirt on and go get a real fucking job. Look, your data doesn't get stolen because you're reckless. It gets stolen because some random app you've never heard of messed up. Case in point, a billing platform recently exposed 180,000 personal records. Names, emails, phone numbers, tax IDs, just sitting in an unsecured database. And that's exactly why today's sponsor, NordVPN, matters. It's the VPN I've used for years, because digital security isn't just a nice to have anymore. NordVPN encrypts everything you do online. So even if a site, app, or network screws up, your data stays protected on your end. Their threat protection blocks shady links, sketchy downloads, trackers, and malicious sites before they even load. Fewer scams, fewer oh no moments. NordVPN also has a strict no logs policy, meaning they don't track you, store your data, or sell anything. your business stays yours. I use NordVPN constantly on public Wi-Fi, at airports, hotels, coffee shops, anywhere that feels one latte away from chaos. And switching locations is one click. Speeds are fast, and it runs across all your devices. Phone, laptop, everything. The best deal is through our link. Go to nordvpn.com/Phil to get a huge discount on a 2-year plan, plus 4 extra months free. It's also risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Protect yourself and scan the QR code or go to nordvpn.com/Phil. That's nordvpn.com/Phil.
All right, coming back. I guess one of the pieces of good news is that there is a hot new movie that I think that you might like even more than Cars 2. And that is
it Cars 4?
No, it's the Melania Trump movie. The one they got $75 million, definitely not as a blackmail bribe. And they did a screening. Tim Cook showed up to kiss the ring. And I think their team.
He did it in a tux.
I think they're like surprised that there's a negative reaction. He's like, we're all doing it, but I think then you pair it with an American who's being murdered in the streets, and families and communities are being terrorized, and people go, it feels weird that you're doing this for shareholder investment. Okay.
Yeah. No. And there's a few things actually with the levels of bribes that are happening with the Melania movie, which I think is supposed to cover like the first couple months of Trump 2, right? Because I think there's even like, from I've seen from the trailer, there is some images in there of her wearing the hat, being everyone's sleep paralysis demon. And there's also just like a few other different things in there. And she's like, it's me, Melania. I actually believe that the Melania movie is one of the reasons why they're dialing things back. Can I tell you about that?
Wait, tell me this theory.
Okay, all right. No, so we have this is the most online brain-rotted administration in the history of the United States, right? Every single level of it. Whether you look at the psychopath who runs the DHS accounts, right, on Twitter and Instagram, or the White House itself, Carolyn Leavitt and others, or you just look at just how the fact that Twitter itself has been completely colonized by right-wing influencers to the point where they believe they completely control that algorithm, right? The Melania movie did not trend over the weekend. This is its big premiere. And even though they've gone and they've bought out and they're going to pretend, they're going to lie about the numbers, right? I think this movie was bought by MGM. It's being distributed by MGM, which is owned by Amazon through Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos himself is spending a lot of money to make sure that this is being seen on as many screens as possible. They're giving it like the level of a Disney premiere style movie. You would think this is a new Avatar, right? They're putting it everywhere. It didn't even pop a Morbius type of, oh my God, this is so bad. It's Morbin time. Like nobody, the only thing I've seen so far is I saw Link Laren posted that his stupid twink ass was at the premiere and how much he loves being with Melania. And it looked like, Trump looked so close to being gone that he looked like a wax figure, including the drippiness and droopiness of his face under the lights. And nobody gives a shit. I saw also somewhere out there, I don't know if we can find the images of it, but basically there were images from the Melania poster. I don't know what city it was in, but people had already spray painted all over them that your husband is a pedophile, like all these other different things on it. Like but the only thing Melania has cared ever about, she cares about two things: her brand and her son, Barron. Those are the only two things she fucking cares about. And right now, the Melania brand is worth dog shit. She can't even... At the beginning of Trump 2, she could push a meme coin and they could rug pull it. They could claim a bunch of other different shit, and anybody that was pushing back on it was haters. But now, even all of these fucking influencers, they're all going to pretend in 3 years that they didn't like any of this shit. They're all going to point to their mealy-mouthed little excuses that they're giving now that they actually wanted to back off of it. A lot of people have been saying this for a long time. Someday everyone will be against it. That's where we are, and I think that this was the first weekend where they saw the normies that usually just try to stay non-political are getting hyper-political. Glenn Close came out against ICE this weekend. Martha fucking Stewart. Martha, please don't touch my brand unless I'm talking shit about James Comey Stewart. She made a statement about what's going on in the country right now. And every single one of those statements is a moment that the Melania movie is not in a feed. And for a president Twitter fingers, iPad president in chief, he can't fucking stomach that. He can't handle that. And all of the influencers that they pay, all of the influencers through their network that they would usually point to push this stuff, they're like, I can't talk about the Melania movie right now. We have to counter message and counter program against the fact that your masked Trump thugs just murdered a man in the street and then lied on his fucking name. That's where we are right now. And so I think this is, there's so many little tiny moments, and for most people, they won't fucking care about this. But to me, like that was my only takeaway from this. She made a movie with a man whose picture's in the Epstein files, and it's not her husband, Brett Ratner. And nobody gives a shit. They can't even feign that anybody cares. They can't even pretend. Yeah. She has to wait until it's on Amazon Prime, and then they can pay an Indonesian botnet to go give it 5 stars and write, very good movie, I love.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was like, anything that's, I think, going to pop with this movie is going to be something that's easy to manipulate online. Right now, I think the National Research Group is predicting the movie is going to make $5 million. But here's the thing. We'll donate 10 times the amount somewhere else. What about you come to Georgia? We go to the screening this Friday. We do a movie review.
Oh, bud.
No.
Bud.
Are you wait, not to super derail. Are you still snowed in, or has it cleaned up for you?
Oh, it's bad. We're still snowed in.
We've had very different experiences with the weather. We were expecting
this massive storm that came and hit I think it was about 2/3 of the United States.
Yeah, but I mean, oh man, dude, you know who's riding high around me right now? People that don't believe weather reports. Because initially they were saying where we were in Georgia that there was going to be like 1 foot, maybe 1.5 feet, and then they're like maybe an inch, and then it was just like, no, it's just going to be ice. And so I feel like we dodged it. But then you were sending me pictures, and I was like, oh my god, my kids would have loved that. I would have hated it.
Yeah, I'm just west of Philadelphia a little bit more, and Philly was like on the edge of like it's weird the way the bands were coming for this entire experience. It was a lot of snow over a full day. Yesterday, schools were canceled and all those things. And people are kind of like 2-hour delays today. We're still kind of digging out because it went so late into Monday.
Right.
But I will say what was interesting about this storm was watching all of our grocery stores go barren by Thursday for a storm that didn't hit till Saturday at, I want to say, midnight. I was a Thursday at 2 p.m. I went to my local wholesaler and watched people fist fighting over cases of water.
Oh wow!
I was like, we're days out. We got like 84 hours until this storm's supposed to hit, and people were it looked like CM Punk versus John Cena on that one episode of Monday Night Raw. Like it was crazy. I was like, this is wild stuff. And the other thing though that happened that I noticed with this storm in particular, this I think was one of the first really big social media storms. That's what you really saw. There was so many weather influencers that I've never heard of that appeared across all of my feeds. Dude. It was like, a few people said it was like the storm had its own PR.
Yeah.
And this is where we're getting though, as you're seeing newsrooms get demolished. As I've done more and more stuff with some of my local news stations, one thing I've actually learned is how much like a meteorologist is more than a weather girl, right? There's always that idea from TV from a long time ago. It's like, oh, she just gets handed a script and she points at the screen. No, actually, she's a meteorologist.
Yeah.
Like she actually has to understand the weather and then explain and then look at a series of models and look at them. One thing that's been neat for me is we have a local meteorologist to the Philadelphia area. His name was Glenn Hurricane Schwartz. He retired a few years ago. He was famous for wearing a little bow tie, little short guy with glasses. I think he was on CBS 3. He retired. But he's been posting to social media, and it was actually interesting finding him because he basically was doing the opposite of what he would have said on television.
Really?
Which is, he was like, so all these snow totals, you don't know any of those. It's like the whole time he was like, you can't predict any of that until about maybe 2 hours beforehand. Until you know where these things settle, because everything is in constant flux, everything's in constant motion. The one thing I will say that this storm did, and we talked about a little bit in the group chat with producer Ben. This storm actually is one of the things that made the murder of Alex Pretti closer to the murder of George Floyd because so many of us were snowed in. So many of us were snowed in, especially Saturday into Sunday, and that we couldn't do anything. We were just kind of trapped, and so you were just scrolling through social media and just seeing his execution over and over and over again, seeing the reactions to it, seeing the lies be put out about it, seeing all these different things, and because your option was nothing, there's nothing else you could do.
Right.
It was snowing so much and so constant and consistent that it was like, all right, well, I guess I can go outside and shovel again, and then instead we just put on Toy Story 4. Because you can only watch Disney Pixar's Cars 2 so many times, folks. You can only watch it so many times. Michael Caine is incredible in it. But we watched it, a couple times, and then we started going through the whole toys cycle, which is also very good. But yeah, that was just, we're digging out. But it did also show me like how nobody really trusts the apps anymore either.
Trust them in what way?
Like the weather apps, since the defunding of NOAA and the National Weather Service and other things.
I was going to say, I thought you meant just in general. I was like, because I think that could easily bring us into the TikTok handover for this United States company, or the United States handover of TikTok, where you have these Trump allies, the datas with Oracle. Everyone's going, I'm being censored, but it seemed like it was across the board. People were getting 0 views. This was something that happened to us. But then I don't know. But then, once again, like, it gets into what do I trust, what do I not trust? I have to do everything myself. I saw people saying that they were trying to message people the word Epstein, and then they were getting messages saying that goes against terms of service. I don't know if that's real.
Well, Phil, you know what I'll tell you is let's talk about what we can trust on TikTok and on all these apps right after we talk about this trusted product and or service right after this.
We'll get you back to the podcast in just a minute, but I want to thank a sponsor and say, there's a specific kind of despair that only comes from stepping into a mystery puddle at 8:12 in the morning. And that's why today's sponsor, Vessi, and specifically their Stormburst sneakers, exist, right? To save your socks and your sanity. These babies are fully waterproof shoes that don't look like you're gearing up for an Arctic expedition, right? They just look good. And I've worn them through rain, slush, wet sidewalks, spilled coffee, and grocery store mystery liquids, right? Socks stay dry, mood improved. They're warm enough for winter, but breathable enough that your feet don't feel trapped by midday. The grip actually matters too, right? Slick sidewalks, icy patches, sketchy parking lots. I feel stable, not anxious. Comfort-wise, they're built for real life, right? Cushioned, supportive, easy to pull on, no painful break-in period. And style-wise, they work with everything I wear, which is great because, I'm not planning outfits around shoes. Just never been that guy. And, they come in different cuts and colors, so you've got options whether you want subtle or bold. They're also made with more sustainable materials, which is rare for shoes built for weather chaos. Plus, Vessi backs them with a 1-year warranty and 30-day hassle-free returns. So if you're done sacrificing socks to the weather gods, go to vessi.com/crash or scan the QR code to get 15% off your first pair. That's vessi.com/crash.
Yeah, so this weekend, TikTok officially changed hands. That was actually in the middle of last week. And this weekend, they then saw a massive outage across the United States. And I do want to say across the United States because people were not having this issue across the rest of the world. People were posting from the United Kingdom and Australia and other places that they weren't having any of the issues that United States users of TikTok were seeing, whether it be posting their own information, posting their own videos, messaging people. This is my experience I had with TikTok over the weekend. I opened it up and it served me 6 or 12 videos. I was like, okay, whatever. I was like scrolling through things and I was like, it's weird. These aren't the usual videos I watch. And then I closed it and I reopened it and it showed me those 6 to 12 videos again. And in that moment, I knew something as a longtime TikTok user that a lot of people don't always pay attention to. I knew immediately that they were doing some form of server maintenance, some form of algorithmic change. And a big part of this, the reason why I knew this is because the similar thing happened, I want to say back in 2023 with a thing called Project Texas. Back then, that was a move by TikTok to move all U.S. user information and data to servers that were under the control of Oracle back in 2023, and that was being used to try to stave off the TikTok ban.
Right.
When that happened back then, a lot of people were freaking out about it then because we were all talking about the Oracle sub-explosion. It was around the same time, and so people were like, oh my God, they're trying to silence the fact that we're all coming together, that we hate billionaires. It was one of these weird timing things, I think. I'm not saying that TikTok isn't going to censor or isn't already censoring leftist or liberal thought or anything that's anti-ICE or anything that's anti the president. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, though, is this weekend what we saw was all of us saw TikTok in basically safe mode. I've posted about this before. Charlie D'Amelio is my Swan Lake. Does that make sense to you, Phil?
So when everything breaks, you see Charlie again?
Yeah, I never see Charlie D'Amelio and Brooke Bunker, two major influencers. They're two younger women who are major content creators and influencers on TikTok. They're also massive on Instagram and other places. I don't ever see them. And when I do see them, I go, I don't like this, not interested. But whenever TikTok is changing something, immediately it starts showing me their videos. And their videos always have 1.5 million likes, 1.7 million likes, 2 million likes, 30 million views a piece, because TikTok defaults to them because they're safe. TikTok defaults to them because they know everybody likes them. I want you guys to imagine TikTok is like Baskin Robbins and their refrigerator is going down and they can only serve certain things. They're going to serve vanilla and chocolate. They're not going to serve bubble gum, right? Because bubble gum doesn't sell the same amount. And that's what happens in these moments. Now, again, I am not saying that they aren't active. I just want to be clear about this. Because people went crazy paranoid over the weekend. I agree with them. And you should be crazy paranoid about it. They are going to. Larry Ellison bought the platform. Larry Ellison is the people who are now running TikTok are not our friends. But they aren't doing it immediately. It will be a slower change. Mm-hmm. It'll be a slower. I saw people who are deleting their account. Like, I have 5 million followers. I'm deleting my account. I'm like, all right, man, whatever. That's fucking nuts. But fine. I understand it. There's the same thing, too. They also rolled out the new guidelines. The guidelines are almost virtually the same as what you get on Instagram. Very similar to what you get on YouTube. They're all the same things. They're just in stupid language. And as people are going through it, it's one of those ones we were talking about before the show about with the Trump administration. They love to make things that are normal sound evil. So like right now, I could immediately go, ladies and gentlemen, there's been a new order has come out from President Trump. He is saying that everyone today must send the government specifically all of the information of how they made an income last year. Between January 1st to December 31st of 2025, they're going to use this information to track all of our networks to make sure that none of us are giving money overseas. This is unprecedented, and this all has to happen by April 15th, folks. By April 15th, you must hand all your financial information directly to the government. They are sending 87,000 IRS agents door to door. You know what I mean? Like,
I like that. That's just libertarian Alex Pearlman. That's all that voice was in that rant. Okay, yeah. So, but with TikTok, 15% each to Oracle, right? Billionaire founder Larry Ellison, private equity firm Silver Lake, and the Abu Dhabi-based investment firm MGX. Where I am gonna get confused is that ByteDance owns the algorithm. They're leasing it out to this user group. The user data is being overseen by Oracle. But also, this U.S. joint venture says that they're going to retrain, test, and update the content recommendation algorithm on U.S. data. And so I think one, it speaks to your point of we are very likely going to see something. The question is it just before the midterms? Is it a month away? Is it before 2028 that we see this? The fucking Elon Musk psycho button hit, but on TikTok? Or are we overblowing it? I think if they follow the Elon model, they don't do anything this year. Because people forget, Elon bought Twitter October of 22. And then he made a very big deal that quote unquote, he wasn't touching anything. He wasn't messing with any algorithms during the October 2022 to November 2022 midterms. Yeah. Part of that was because he had just purchased it. He didn't know what he owned yet. But the other part of it was so that way he could get through the end of the Biden administration without anyone a regulator coming in and actually saying you're fucking with stuff. He started to fuck with stuff after that I think it was the 23 Super Bowl. Right. There's an image of him sitting next to Rupert Murdoch, and then Elon posted about the Super Bowl, and Biden posted about the Super Bowl, and Elon got mad that Biden's post had more likes. And that was immediately when he started fucking. So that was February, right? So that's about 4 months later as he's really started to play with everything. I mean, everything we're seeing right now, you should expect, to the users out there, you should expect TikTok to be the new X.
be the new Twitter in America. And what I mean by that is you are going to start to see they're going to do it one of two ways. If they're very overt about it, they are going to start pushing content creators like Jack the dumb Polak Posobiec into our fucking feeds. They'll start pushing Tim Pool content. They love to push Ben Shapiro. Larry Ellison and Ben Shapiro, if you stack them on top of each other, then Larry Ellison's 6 inches higher. But that's basically how that's going to go. They could push that, or
Right.
which I think is more likely, and it's actually the more nefarious one, which is they only push antiseptic content. That they only, because that's one thing I noticed today as they're starting to retrain this algorithm. I got served 25 videos in a row that no one spoke. It was just back to people dancing. And it was more of that type of stuff, people using sounds again. And which is kind of classic TikTok. That's classic musically.
Right.
It's less about people doing commentary, less about people talking about the news, current events, what's happening in the world around them. And that is, again, it's one of those things. We're going to end up, a lot of people made a lot of jokes about the Truman Show and how basically every year has felt, whenever you open up any app, is that scene where Truman's wife starts talking about coffee.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? She starts holding up like the coffee and she's like with like a tear rolling down her face and he's like, what are you doing? But like that is going to be more of what it is. One of the other things that a lot of people freaked out, especially the content creators on the left, I saw a bunch of them freak out about this weekend, was that the money went away for about 36 hours. The creator fund vanished. The tab where you would access that inside the TikTok studio vanished. I wasn't too worried about it though, because I started looking around. I was like, oh, this is very similar to when TikTok shut off a year before.
Yeah.
This was so sudden that I think when you turn things off, you can turn off everything by throwing a big switch. You got to then, when you turn things back on, you got to flip 1,000 little switches. So again, I want to restate for the fucking idiots out there. I am not saying that TikTok is not evil. I am not saying that it won't get worse. I'm saying in this exact second, I'm not seeing it. I saw things like the Democrats posting, we're being censored. The official Democrat account was like,
Gavin Newsom saying that they're going to do a probe. And I understand from a strategic standpoint why they're doing it. I do agree with you because one, I think maybe even getting in early to investigate to kind of like make sure that like the switches
to keep pressure on it.
Yeah, to make sure that like they're not just going like fuck the rules, let's break the law because we can break the laws because we're tight with the president, or it's classic billionaire, we're gonna get fined and that's just the cost of doing business, right? That's bullshit. So I understand, but yeah, I think to a certain thing, it's like I don't know. There's some sort of balance between also just not wanting to seem hysterical in this moment, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be like the boy that cried wolf. Like it's
Yeah,
coming.
but
the wolf's coming.
But it's also, the part that got me was the fact that the Democrats themselves are the ones being like, we're being censored. This was your plan, Democrats. Like, just to be clear to everybody out there, that it was Joe Biden signed the bill that forced this sale. Joe Biden and the Democrats, it was dead. It was dead. It was a dead bill. They pushed it through. It was completely pushed through. And a big part of it, and we have clips from Mitt Romney and others who have said it repeatedly, was because of what they viewed the TikTok user base's reaction to October 7th, and specifically about information about Israel. That was a big part. That was a big point. And that is, some people are laying that down as a conspiracy theory. It's not. They've openly stated that repeatedly. And by they, again, I mean members of the United States government and Benjamin Netanyahu himself. Like, these are like, we have videotapes of them saying it. We have to control TikTok, these different things. And one of their big fears, and this is the part that I think where the disconnect has now come between our government and the population. The population trusted TikTok because it was not involved in America. Like, the population trusted TikTok being run by China because that made it an umpire in our team game of Republican, Democrat, billionaire.
Interesting.
Like, in my view, and many of the people in the user base that I've seen over the years has viewed China less as a threat and more of an outside observer.
I understand seeing China as a threat. I see them as a big threat for a number of reasons. I do think for TikTok, I think they were largely just like, how do we get, as far as the company, they were just like, we want to sell to Americans the way that we sell to our own people, because it's like the internet over there is like a fucking mall. largely.
Yeah.
Like it's entertainment, consuming, like that.
Well,
but,
can I
but
tell
also,
you what they fell for?
wait, I'll say last thing though. I don't think that this deal might have gone through if Charlie Kirk hadn't convinced Trump that TikTok was a net good for him. Because I mean, when you're talking about like, oh, we're going to start getting all these, right wingers in our feeds, I think to a certain extent those pipelines already existed on like all the platforms. If you looked, Charlie Kirk had like before he passed had over 4 million followers on TikTok. Like he was popping off. He was just not popping off in our feeds. So I mean, I think there is potential for juicing, but I think there's also the potential of juicing for what we see is the normal pipeline anyway. Certain lifestyle influencers, it's often things like gym bros or anything like that, or body hacking, all that sort of shit that like already leans that way to a certain degree for some reason, and then that's how people get indoctrinated. So yeah, So anyway, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, the one thing I was going to say is the reason why the United States got mad at China is because China followed U.S. propaganda on how to deal with American users.
How so?
Giving us freedom of speech. That was what, like, if the Chinese had locked down TikTok the way they locked down the Chinese version of TikTok or WeChat or any of those others that they have over there, if they were like, oh, if you want the Chinese restriction plan, we could have turned on the Chinese restriction plan. Just tell us. And they were like, no, you said you're the freedom of speech guys, so we're letting your people fucking say what they want. And our people started saying like, hey, I don't want to pay for this fucking war. I'm tired of seeing kids get blown up. The thing that drives me crazy is everything that senators and congressmen had problems with I've said this before, I'll say it again. Everything they had problems with on TikTok, what they were seeing and what they were hearing regurgitated, especially when it came to what Israel was doing in Gaza. Everything about that was sourced from Twitter. Everything about that starts at Twitter and then spreads to all the other different places. Every single time I would open up Twitter, I would see something, and then I would see it on TikTok days later. What they got mad at was the fact that the reach on TikTok was bigger. But also what they got mad at and did not understand is that TikTok, until recently, true in America, was still our window to the rest of the world. One of the biggest, most radicalizing things I saw on TikTok, especially in 2020, was so many people sitting at home discovering that the rest of the world has healthcare. Yeah. So many people sitting at home discovering that the rest of the world has public transportation. That the rest of the world, like there were so many times where people were like, oh my God, I slipped and fell at work and I had to call an ambulance and it cost me $7,000 to be driven to the hospital. And literally people in England are like, oh, you have to pay for an ambulance? Like literally we are a series of abused people talking about like, oh yeah, our partner, the United States federal government and our billionaire class. Yeah, I mean like they beat us, but occasionally they give us a pizza. And the rest of the world is like, you're in an abusive relationship with your own government. Oh my God. Because TikTok in itself destroyed American soft power by one thing, which is allowing Americans to show the truth of America to the rest of the world. Like if you're watching Hollywood show America, right? It is Megan Fox and Daisy Dukes bent over a Camaro, changing the oil in this beautiful field that's supposed to be Iowa, right? Well, bitch, let me show you what actual Iowans look like. Let me show you how somebody living outside Des Moines lives, all right? And suddenly, Lisbon, Portugal, it feels like a place you actually love now because you're not having these very specific edits and direction and all these different things. And then the same thing, flip side. You have Americans who are sitting here their whole entire life being told, USA #1, we're the greatest in the world, we're the biggest in the world. Oh my God, look at this. Nobody else can fucking touch us. We're the fucking best. And then they go see how a hospital looks like in what we see as the third world. Right. The same way with iShowSpeed doing the travel throughout Africa.
I was just going to bring him up. Yeah, I was like, I feel like obviously, he went to China as well, but having that access, seeing his point of view. I mean, there were things that he showed off in Africa that I was like, oh, I mean, I've never thought of Africa in that light. I mean, it's not top of mind for me. I'm like very US centric, but I was just like, oh. And so it does make me wonder, are these like little snapshots, or is this the new normal as long as, there's not another content crackdown? Are we all going to kind of go, oh, we're actually more alike? Oh, like aside from like in China, once again, don't want to normalize Xi. The man just fucking is like further consolidating power. Just took out like his top military guy. Probably good news for Taiwan for a few years. But it's like, but also I think it showed that China, once again, long storied history. I think it shows that he was like weak and scared, but also it makes him more stronger as far as consolidating power. But the government aside, as far as the people, I think that's a great thing of connection. And so, once again, I don't love everything from every creator. I think it's been very cool to see those sorts of things play out, whether it's China, Africa, all these places.
I think it was Mark Twain said that, like, the best way to get over bigotry and fear is travel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was something along those lines. I can't remember the exact quote, and I'm sure anyone can write in the comments the exact quote down below for engagement.
I will also say, I was like, I agree with that, but also sometimes you go to places and you're like, oh, they invented bigotry here.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, I thought it was bad here.
For me, the reverse was Greece. I went to Greece and I was like, absolutely not. I'm now pro-Turk. I don't know. I went to Greece and I came back and I was like, that should be Ottoman territory. That's just me. Anyway, I
was like, I don't know anything about what you're talking about.
No, I went to Greece on my honeymoon, and I've been to France and I've been to Greece, and I would rather have a French waiter than a Greek one any day of the week.
Wow.
Every single productive Greek would move to America and opened a diner here. That's my hottest take I'll ever have.
I was like, I can't speak to anything Greek. I was like, but I've had just 9 out of 10 bad experiences with French waiters. Parisian waiter, I should specify.
Oh no, I was like a kid, and we took a cruise to Nice. It was like one of the stops was Nice, France, and I've never in all my life. I would think I was like 14, and I was like just wanted to get something quick at this little cafe. And the way I was treated, by the time I was done, I was like, I'm a reactionary conservative now. Like I was like, I like almost turned into Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec, like in that moment. Like, you all would be speaking German. I was like 14, like, you be speaking fucking German. Give me the goddamn popsicle, old man. Like, it was a weird. Anyway, I don't want to get too far.
Do you think that's why you sometimes, or one of the reasons that you don't like Trump when he's at Davos and he's saying literally that line? He's like, you guys would be speaking German and Japanese.
No, because they speak fucking German in Switzerland. Like, that's the part that gets me. Like, but also it's again, I have a whole thing. I have a big thing with boomers it's stolen valor. Boomers have such stolen valor about the entire World War II generation. And it goes even a little bit into Gen X as well. The amount of fucking politicians from Bill Clinton, Trump's era, the 1946 era, and then even some of the Gen X, they always are like, my dad and the Gen X, my grandfather fought in World War II, or this person, my grandfather was an immigrant. And I'm like, well, what about you? What did you do? That's where I always get stuck on this. Like, what have you done? These things that drive me fucking
Alex,
crazy with
I don't know. I'm hearing your words, and it sounds like we need a righteous war. I think that's the lesson I learned from your statement. We need a righteous war so our kids can go.
Okay, all right, Otto von Bismarck. Calm down. You're literally that's literally Bismarckian theory, and that's like the shit Stephen Miller is pumping out in his fucking tweets every day as his wife goes and sucks Elon's dick. Allegedly.
That's the only thing you're fucking throwing. Everything Alex says is
everything
alleged.
else. I have not said anything else that I can't prove in court. Okay? The thing about Katie Miller and Elon Musk, that has been a very big rumor for a while. But as we've been seeing that she might be dumber than Nick Shirley.
Dumb.
She's just fucking stupid as hell. She got mad that somebody posted the amendments to the Constitution. Like, look at this woke bullshit. It was literally the Bill of Rights. Anyway, I
think if the Bill of Rights triggers you, if you get angry at someone, she got really angry at the co-founder of Anthropic for saying my deep loyalty is to the principles of classical liberal democracy, and she's like, can you believe this? And it's like, okay, everyone's gotta, I guess, teach her in public.
She doesn't know what liberal democracy.
She doesn't know what it is.
She thinks liberal democracy is
progressivism.
Liberal democracy just means that you have elections. Like, it just means that you have a representative government and institutions that are accountable to the populace. That's all it means.
Individual rights, right? Liberty.
Well, no, and this is one of the things that drives me.
Property.
But see, this is one of the things that drives me fucking crazy. There's a thing that happens online. It's only an online issue around the term liberal. It's the reason why I proudly scream all the time that I am a liberal, I'm a lib, all these different fucking things. Because there's some people, and some of the people listening to the show will think, yeah, okay, I'm not MAGA, therefore I'm a liberal. there's a thing online, especially on the left, where like they view liberals as to the right, right? Of like liberal actually means centrist. It means the center left. It means like you're not MAGA, but you kind of still want to be a Republican. You still want to be these different things. No, liberalism is an ideal. And that ideal is representative democracy, human rights, and making sure that we have institutions that are accountable to the people. And what you're seeing in Minnesota especially is you're seeing liberal idealism at its extreme event. And a lot of the people that I'm seeing online, I'm seeing people get mocked, not only from the right, but also from the extreme left of people who have, they have flags and bullshit other icons in their Twitter bio of being like, oh, look, these brunch libs carrying their funny signs. Well, at least they're outside. They're touching grass and snow and being touched by ice. This is an interesting thing to be tweeting from London, people. Yeah. And that's the thing is like that. The one thing I'll give you, there's two things Elon's done right with Twitter. One was the community notes, and two was the about button, where it can give you locations if they weren't smart enough to use a VPN.
I'll push back a little bit. The community notes became necessary because all of a sudden the checkmark system didn't fucking matter anymore, and he started.
Yeah, but they were working on that beforehand.
The biggest
it wasn't his idea.
propagandist in the world.
Yeah, no, but it wasn't just his idea. The community notes was actually already in the works, and then he was like, oh, that thing sounds good, and he turned it on. But that has since now moved to other areas of the internet. Like Threads now has it, where but by the way, just I've been bodying Whitney Cummings all weekend on Threads.
Oh, because she went after like Miss Rachel, right?
Yeah, she went after Miss Rachel.
But also like just for the way she talks, like that was the angle.
It's a whole thing. It's fucking stupid. But again, Whitney Cummings is one of these podcasting comedian cowards who is like, we're the last bastion of truth. We're philosophers. We're the ones who truly understand the world, and we know how to communicate with people. And then she said nothing about ICE all weekend.
But also, wait. So if you have that mindset, but then also you get angry and you're like, what? Like you're holding me to the same standard as a politician or a public speaker, and it's like, was there a joke in the thing you said? It sounded like you just attacked Miss Rachel for talking a certain way.
100%. No, this is one of the things I want to be able to say anything. I want free speech. And then when someone's like, okay, well, what you said was fucking stupid. Oh my God, how dare you? You're trying to censor me. This is, again, this is Dave Chappelle with trans people all over again. This is all these fucking idiots. It happens time and time and time and time and time again with these fucking people, which is they want to get up and call everyone fucking assholes. And then when somebody says it back, listen, you want to call me an asshole? Call me an asshole any day of the week. I'm fine with it. I've been called everything under the fucking sun. You know what I do? I block or I keep scrolling. That's it. Because, there's that, who is it? Tyler, the Creator? How are you going to get bullied online? Close the laptop. Oh. Like, that's my view of it. Like, there is a psychological standpoint of it where it can be all encompassing. Don't get me wrong. But also, there is a time where you just put the fucking phone down. I had 2 years ago.
That's easier said than done. I'm hot on this. I just watched Ron's Gone Wrong again with my kid last night. I'm like the internet's evil. Our devices are evil.
Well, no, it is. But having been targeted by a psychological operation to try to get me to go off myself a few years ago, one of the things was putting my phone down and walking around for a bit. And then when I came back, just go fucking figure out where the next level of it is. It's not for everybody. Not everybody has that mentality.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, though, is like I view the internet the same way I would view the forum in ancient Rome or a marketplace in the 1800s. Every time I'm posting, I'm picturing myself standing in front of Independence Hall in Philadelphia yelling. I did it the other day. It's weird. When you do that, when you stand in front of Independence Hall in Philadelphia and you start yelling into your phone, picture the fact that hundreds of thousands of people could be standing in front of you. Because that is actually what you're doing on your phone. And to not expect any blowback, any brushback, anybody to have a differing of opinion, that's a level of psychopathy that you can't have. Yeah. But there's also a thing that happens specifically with comedians, which it happens to me all the time. It happens to me all the fucking time. I could be performing in front of 350 people in a room, right? Whole room's laughing. I'm telling jokes the same way I told jokes in my YouTube comedy special, Daddy's Day, which you can find at youtube.com/Pearlmania500. I'm telling all these different jokes. But if one guy over there has his arms crossed and is looking like he's not having fun, he's the only fucking person I'm going to remember. I'm going to target the entire show at him. I'm going to damn the rest of the audience because I need that guy's interaction to be equal to what I feel the rest of the room should have. And if everybody has a good time, I won't remember that show. That's the brain of an actual comedian. That's the brain of somebody who's working. And that's the reason why so many of these, especially 90s and 2000s comedians' brains broke when it came to cancel culture. Because suddenly they saw one random person online. They would just say, oh, tweet a joke. Okay, I like that. Haha, let me tweet a joke. Okay, I like that. Let me tweet a joke. Hey, man, that one's a little bit off the spot, off mark. And that, hey, man, that little thing's off mark. Got 15 likes. Well, fuck you. This could be a whole movement against me now. Suddenly I'm not going to sell tickets. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. That's what all of them are. Instead of just realizing like, hey, okay, I should keep in mind that there is a small sliver. The other thing we're having too is we're going from a world where we used to want to target everybody, right? Like back in the day, how would this play in Peoria? We're going from that into what's your niche?
Yeah, pockets. Yeah, pockets.
Your pocket. Yeah. Like I'm never, there's some people out there, they'll go and they'll be like, I'll get all the normies by making fun of furries. I will never make fun of furries. Ever. Do you know how many IT departments furries run in this country? You want to take it down?
I imagine a lot, but you know what? I mean, imagine. Well, just think about the. I mean, this covers a lot of stuff, but the mindset around and reaction to people that are furries, that has drastically changed. I saw a clip where Fox News had fucking. I hate her in most ways. Tommy Lahren interviewing furries. And like a lot of the reactions were like, oh, okay, it's kind of just like a hobby. It's whatever. Yeah. Like it was like super normalized, even on Fox News. And I was like, oh wow, was not expecting that comment section.
Yeah, no, but it's also one of those things too, where again, this is one of I think the part that's been insane has been watching with the niche and how they grow, and then when they start to get shown to wider populations, and like. It's one of the things that happened with Minnesota. What Trump has been trying to do has been they've been trying to target Somalis because they believe that Somalis are so different from the rest of the population that Somali Americans aren't American. And they feel like they can get away with that up there. Even though I think it's like 95% of the Somali population in the Minnesota, Minneapolis area like are United States citizens. Like it's not even a matter of like they're here on green cards or refugee status or any of that shit. Like they straight up are U.S. citizens. They are elected officials. Like, but again, this is that idea of divide and conquer. And you see some going back to comedians. Some of them know, like the Jeff Dunhams of the world will know, like, okay, I'm only playing to my redneck conservative base over here. You know, the blue collar comedy tour. And then you have other things. It's been a long standing thing in comedy of like, which group are you with? Is it quote unquote Main Street comedy? Are you a black comic? Are you playing mostly to Asian or Indian audiences, you know, Central Asian audiences? All these different things. We're seeing more of a diversification in that. And I think for some of these guys, especially the Dave Chappelles of the world, the Joe Rogans of the world, they can't wrap their brain around it. Guys like Mark Maron could because he was like, oh, we're not competing for the same audience. That's the thing I realized a long time ago. We're not competing for the same audience. I'm not competing for ICE supporters. I don't want them. I don't want them coming to my fucking shows.
Yeah. I had a different way of looking at it. I mean, now it's thinking of it as someone that would support ICE is going from a place of, I mean, when you were talking about someone that wanted everyone to like them, right? That was definitely me 10 years ago, right? That was, I mean, it initially came from a enlightened centrist mindset of like, I can talk about everything and everything's equal and blah, blah, blah. And then it got to a place where, you know, as I was seeing certain things play out and seeing, you know, definitely not both sides equal sort of rhetoric and what we're now seeing actually play out of just going like, oh, I have to call those things out. And there is, for those people, like, so I have a little, less so now because it's so fucking in your face. I have a little understanding of people being scared. I saw it in Joe Rogan when he had the CEO of Twitter on, and it was like a very like casual conversation, hearing him out, and he got such a big backlash from the right wing base that it scared him into like going in that direction.
You're talking about Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, Jack Dorsey at the time. Yeah. And then I think the next episode he had like, actually, I think we played this clip, Tim Pool and someone else on to be like, no, fuck that guy, blah, blah, blah. And then the audience erupted like, yeah. And so he got to continue playing the I let everyone on, but really play to a certain base. And that pushback is very easy to run away from. You know, if the main thing is maybe having your certain community. I think we see that a lot with MAGA. Like, you don't want to lose this community that you've built up over the past decade. I think, it's very hard to go like, I might have been wrong about that thing, or maybe overstepped on that or whatever. So I have a little of it, but or a little understanding, but we're seeing it actually play out. I don't know how you deny it if you even take a glance. Like, all it took was 60 seconds this weekend to look and go, oh my God. I think what was it? Rhett from Good Mythical Morning. He talked about, like, if this is like a snapshot of a movie, this is a trailer. Who do you think the bad guys are? Who do you think the fucking bad guys are? So I think I don't know. Hopefully we see more and more people continue to speak up. And with that, I do want to thank everyone, not only for watching, but I do want to say thank you to everyone that is using their voice. You may think it's small. Together, it's so much fucking bigger. To the people that are out there being ballsy as fuck, going out there, even though people are going out, the Trump goons are trying to terrorize you, and you're making your voices heard, and obviously you're not doing anything violent. Like, fucking thank you. Thank you for not being scared, because they are counting on it. They are counting on you being scared and exhausted, and I think that they are sparking a fire that is just going to grow and grow, and then eventually they'll all get to Alex Pearlman level.
Well, I don't know if they're all going to get there, but the one thing I'll just remind everybody is, when you're scared, when you're sitting around and you're seeing these things happen, I want to remind you that our current dictator is 79 years old, and he's clearly in failing health, and that his heir apparent is the most charisma-less cuck that we've ever seen in the history of this nation. Everyone, including the Republicans, hate J.D. Vance. Everyone else in that cabinet, they are all a collection of basically the Legion of Doom, and every single one of them are completely relying on the coattails and charisma of a 79-year-old man who is showing up every day with increasingly more and more bruises on his body that he can't explain. Just keep that in mind. And at the end of all of this, the winner will be time. So make sure you're protecting yourself, not just in the street, but also just mentally. Make sure you're taking moments. When it gets too heavy, put the phone down and take a walk. Call someone you trust and have a conversation. If you're scared, your friends are scared. And if they're not your friends. So check in on each other. Check in on yourselves. Give this podcast 5 stars. Make sure you like, subscribe, and I'll be fucked. I will be absolutely fucked, Phil, if I give up promoting this podcast in the middle of a fascist heat wave of this winter. Okay? But thank you guys so much for listening. I did want to talk about the Gaza Board of Peace master plan, but I don't think we have time for it. I want to end this on a good note. So the final thing I want to say, Phil, is thank you so much for reaching out to me those many months ago and saying, do you want to do this podcast? Because for me, actually, so many people message me all the time and saying, hearing us talk about these things, help them process things. You and me having these conversations help me process things, because there's times where I want to say stuff that doesn't fit in a TikTok, doesn't fit in an Instagram reel, doesn't make sense in some of these other fucking places, but we can have a longer form conversation here that then strangers on the internet can clip completely out of context, and hopefully they can make some money on.
Hey, you're welcome, and I am a hero. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.